What's up, guys? Welcome back to Flippin' the Script Fishing. Now, the other day I went out and decided to do a little pond fishing. I only had a couple hours, so I figured I could get a little fishing in, get a little footage. But what's interesting is how I go about dissecting a body of water, especially a small body of water. A pond, they're typically pretty shallow, but there's still a water column. You have your, obviously you have your surface, then you have your middle columns depending on how deep the water is, and of course you have all the way to the bottom. So with ponds, bass relate to edges. So they'll literally circle that pond in search for food, and they'll just continue to make that path. Now you will have your bass that will sit in one particular area and wait, but you also have your roamers, I like to call them, and they will just cover that area and that depth range and just go around that pond. So if you've ever done some pond fishing, oftentimes you'll catch a couple, 1 or 2, 3, back to back, and then you won't catch any for a little while. And that's because those bass are on the move. So you also should be on the move, covering that pond. Standing in one area is typically fruitful for only a little while. So you ought to be mobile and grab your rods and reels and baits and be able to make your way around that pond to cover some water. Okay, now I want you to pay attention to how I covered the water column I talked about earlier. I covered the middle area with a worm burner, I covered the top with a frog, and then I covered the bottom with a Texas rig. So I covered all three parts of the water column in order to find these fish when one started not working. So pay attention to that, and I'll get into that, and in the meantime, enjoy some fish catching footage. Took forever, but I finally got one. Beat a lot. Alright, now what I'm doing is fishing these Gambler worm burners. They are a 7-inch. I just put them on a big hook and just swim it slowly. And shallow ponds like this one here puts off a little bit of vibration, stays out of the muck, and you can catch some fish. decent one, probably 16, maybe 17 inches, skinny though. Little guy. Oh, fish. So, the first technique I used that was fruitful for me, caught a couple of good bass. I think I caught probably 4 or 5 overall on it, is this Gambler worm burner, okay? Now it's a pretty big worm, 7 inches long, and it's got this little paddle tail, and I think Zoom makes an ultraviolet speed worm works really well, does the same thing. Now all I did was rig it on this hook, okay? Now I just text-posed this point like that just to keep the point from catching on anything. This one's got a little tiny weight on it, not much. You can put it on just a hook too. But what this does is it fishes that shallow water really well. So I can fish this effectively on the surface down to 5 or 6 feet, depending on how slow I retrieve it. Now obviously the faster I retrieve it, the higher in the water column it will go. But anyway, it's weedless, and I was able to fish it, especially in that shallow, dirty water. And in ponds, you often have a really soft bottom, and that bottom can be covered with plants and just total muck. So this is a good option for those types of ponds, to keep it off the bottom and keep it from getting all gross and covered up with muck, and still catch and get those bites and get big bites. This will get a big bite. I didn't catch any big ones with it the other day, but I have in the past. right, got a good one that time. On the frog. 1.5 inches. Good fish. Just never know where they're lurking. The next bait I used is a pond staple. This thing, you can catch bass on it and on just about any pond around the country, and that is your simple frog. Now, this is actually a live target frog that I have, and if you've watched my Fix My Frog video, you can see exactly how to put your own legs in there. So these legs had broken off, and all I had was a body with no legs, and I put these on there, and I fished it the other day, and I caught my biggest fish out of that pond with this lure. Okay, and you can also see how to fish a frog in the frog and the chick video I put out. You can get that information there. So this oftentimes will get your biggest bite. You may not get that many bites, and you may miss some bites, but it will oftentimes get your biggest bite in that pond. So highly recommend throwing a frog. A lot of fun too, watching it take it on the top. Not a giant by any means. Let's catch. A little bit better, almost twins. Back-to-back casts. See if we can make it 3 in a row. Yep, could make it 3 in a row. Last but not least was the old trusted Texas rig. Now through this is actually a Missile Baits D-Bomb, which is a great bait. I like to throw natural colors. I think this is like Mardi Gras or something like that, or sprayed grass or something like that. Anyway, I fished this one really aggressively, and when they weren't taking that worm, when I was cranking it in slowly and they wouldn't take that frog anymore, I fished this aggressively, and you can see it in the end of that video. I'm fishing it on a white rod, so pay attention to that. And you can see I'm fishing it pretty fast, and what I'm doing is hopping it through that grass, and it goes in through that grass, and with this bullet weight on that Texas rig, it comes through that grass cleanly. but the bass, they're predators, and they will react to that erratic motion. And so I hopped it through that grass real quick along those edges that those bass were cruising on, and they would take it and start swimming with it, and I'd set the hook and catch the fish. I think I got 2 or 3 that I caught in the video. I did catch 3 or 4 more on top of that. I just they were smaller. I didn't take video of those, so that helped me out to get a couple more bites and helped cap off my day. So try those techniques at your local pond, and you'll be surprised. Those three will work really well. All right, guys, I hope those tips help. Till next time, tight lines.